You've got to focus on the value. That's why John and I, and John made up the saying, as he usually does. And he said, money is simply an echo of value, right? It's the thunder to value's lightning. And that really means nothing more than understanding that, yeah, you must focus on the value you're providing another person. The money you receive is a natural result of that value you've provided.
I'm John Wright, and you're listening to Affiliate BI, the business intelligence and affiliate marketing podcast brought to you by SnapStrong. Welcome to the Affiliate BI podcast. Today we're chatting with Bob Burg, who is the author of The Go-Giver, which is a Wall Street Journal and Business Week bestseller with over 1 million copies. And I think he said it's closer to 1.5. The book has a solid 4.7 rating on Amazon with over 10,000 ratings. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Great to be with you.
So I read the book recently, and I'll go into the story about how we got connected. But I just want to ask, how did you end up in your position where you're a speaker, you've written this amazing book? Did this come naturally, or is this something you've learned over time?
As far as the Go-Giver principles and so forth, yeah, I was very fortunate to grow up with great parents who really set a fantastic example. And my co-author, John David Mann, he came from that same type of family. So we both had that advantage of having great parents who set a wonderful example for us. I think as you get older, you go out into the business world, people do things in certain ways. Not all of them are congruent with your values and different things. But I think over time, patterns for successful people and what they do and who they are. And what came to me was that those who were sustainably financially successful, as well as successful in terms of their relationships, their sense of joy, happiness, and so forth, they seemed to be the types of people who always had as a focus bringing immense value to other people, not in a self-sacrificial way. It wasn't as though they in any way hurt themselves by doing it. It was just that as part of life, their focus was on bringing joy to others, adding value to others as business people, making sure they were providing not only a product and service that was great, but the overall experience. So I think that's really how it came about. And of course, John and I both are students of success. He was a very successful entrepreneur and leader, and as a professional writer for the last 30 years, he's had an opportunity to interview some of the most successful people in the world. As a speaker for the last 30 years, I've been on stage with some of the most, and I'm always asking questions and wanting to learn more. So we put our heads together with this, and that's how we came up with the 5 laws of stratospheric success for the book. There's nothing new about it. There's nothing that John and I made up, other than putting it in such a way that was familiar to people and easily applicable. That's really how it all came about.
That is cool, because I like to think that I like to study other people's patterns of success and try to go, what are the things I can learn from other people? And personally, I'll be honest, I think it's taken me a long time to learn the principles in your book. And I just feel like in my own journey of being in affiliate marketing for over 20 years and trying lots of different things, it was actually, how do I make money first? It wasn't really the opposite of how do I become useful to someone? Do you think these principles are they always lost upon people? Is there going to be a point in time where you think more people get it, or maybe they just need to be presented to your book where they can go, maybe there's something to this?
I think more and more people are getting it. The challenge is when it comes to any kind of sales is that most people have a backwards notion of what selling is. And that's because of what they see on TV and in the movies, and perhaps salespeople they've met who didn't represent the profession very well. A lot of people think selling is about trying to convince somebody to buy something they don't want or need. That's, first of all, that's not selling. That's called being a con artist. But but that's not what selling is. Selling by definition is simply discovering what the other person needs, wants, or desires and helping them to get it. The interesting thing is when people say, yeah, you've got to put the money first, other than actually that's if you want to make a lot of money, putting the money first is not the way to get there. And here's why. And I used to say this when I spoke at sales conferences all over the place. I begin by saying, nobody's going to buy from you because you have a quota to meet. Okay. They're not going to buy from you because you have a sales goal or because you need the money or even because you're a nice person. They're going to buy from you only because they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. So with that in mind, doesn't it make sense that if you want this sale to happen, you've got to find a way to make their life better? You've got to focus on the value. That's why John and I, and John made up the saying, as he usually does. And he said, money is simply an echo of value, right? It's the thunder to values lightning. And that really means nothing more than understanding that, yeah, you must focus on the value you're providing another person. The money you receive is a natural result of that value you've provided.
Yeah. And I think, and also just relating to my experience, it's like, how do you get to that stage of getting to the sale? And right before it is trust. And I think in order to gain the trust, you basically need to be providing value all the time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's really from the moment you meet that person, whether it's inbound, whether it's outbound, whether it's online, in person, what have you, from the moment you meet that person through the follow up and follow through, the relationship building process, the sales process, the referral process. How do you make that person feel at every single touch point? Do they feel good about themselves, thus good about the situation, good about you? Are you inspiring trust? Are you building that? I've said this, and I said this in my first book, Endless Referrals. It's probably the saying I'm most known for, if I'm known for a saying, and that is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know and trust. And there's no better, faster, more powerful, more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you and others than by genuinely and authentically moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, looking to, as Sam, one of the mentors and the go-giver, advised the protege in the story, Joe, to make your win all about the other person's win.
Yeah. And then, like, some ways I've been trying to earn trust from people is by sharing stuff on LinkedIn. And funny enough, I think it was a LinkedIn comment is how we connected, where I think someone was talking about something and maybe they referenced you, and then I left a comment and then you replied, which I was surprised. And it wasn't like a cheap comment like thanks or thanks, John. It was like you actually put some thought into it, which made me go, who is this guy? And then I looked up your LinkedIn profile. I found there's something to it. I was like, this guy would be a great person on the podcast. So I've done LinkedIn from maybe a me first kind of way, where I've learned from people that it's like, in order to get more out of LinkedIn, you have to be giving. And it sounds simple and basic, but I think just like replying to comments and not just giving the cheap reply, but putting a bit of time and effort. It's like you're saying thank you to people. What would you say to this as a concept?
Okay, so let's go back to something you said, that was that you think you'd been doing it from, I think you said, your reasons first or your point first. But here's the thing, this is life. In order to benefit yourself, you've got to benefit others. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great American poet, said this back in the mid-19th century, that it's one of the most beautiful aspects of life in terms of compensation, that you can't do something for another without it coming back to you. Now, it doesn't always happen directly, but here's the key. It's not why you do it, it's the result of doing it. And I have no doubt, John, that you want to add value to people's lives. The fact that you know that by doing that, it's also going to come back to help you, there's nothing wrong with that. And this is the duality that John and I talk about, the either or, what we call the false dilemma, the unnecessary use of the word or. Okay. I'm either a good, kind, giving person, or I'm just some person who just has it for myself. No, it's actually both. It's like breathing out and breathing in. You can't do one or the other. You've got to do both. Now, the best thing is that when you give value to others because it's something you really enjoy doing, wonderful. You give without attachment to the results, understanding that the more seeds of goodwill, of great will that you plant, you're going to create that benevolent context for success for yourself. But even if a person does it because they feel, well, they're going to benefit from it, it's okay. I don't want people to be too hard on themselves. The fact is, once you start doing it, it feels so good to do that, right? That it becomes just a natural part of you. And you start doing that just because it's who you are. And because it's who you are, it's what you do. And then the results come back to you. I think what you're doing is great. When I comment, I do so for one reason. It's because I have gratitude for somebody who says something nice or has a comment or whatever. People say, doesn't it take a lot of time? Yeah, it does. But you know what? It's something I hold as a high value, thanking people who have, now, does it come back to me? It does. I'm sure it does. Okay. But that's not why I do it. But even if it was, that's okay as well. So I just don't want people to be too hard on themselves. Do the right thing. And when you do the right thing enough times, good things are going to come back and you're going to start to enjoy the fact just that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. I allude to sometimes there's nothing wrong with doing the right thing for the wrong reason. The wrong reason is I'm hoping something comes back. It's
Right.
doing the right thing regardless.
Exactly.
All right. So flipping this on its head, in the past, I used to do affiliate coaching where I'd help people and it was a free service. But my monetization of this was I hope that the affiliates would click on links to join affiliate programs where I'd get 5% commission on average. But this never came out of their pocket. And I stopped doing coaching where I had one client that this worked out well for, and that turned into a lifelong, really good friendship. On the other end, I had probably the equivalent of 3 to 4 people that once they got 5, 10 hours of my time, they said, why should I click on these links? I said, we agreed to do this and it's why I gave you help. And some of these affiliates went on to make more money, but maybe like I don't regret doing it, but I do have this small kind of grudge where it's like that wasted a lot of time. Maybe I should have been more enforceful on my monetization or a contract. What would you say to people that maybe have a fear of doing the right thing and worrying that someone's just going to take advantage of them?
There's nothing about being a go giver that is congruent with being a doormat or a martyr or self sacrificial. Okay. So if something is part of your business strategy, okay, that in other words, you are giving them this time, this coaching. And the reason is when they start doing this, they're going to utilize your links and that should be part of the agreement. And that should be part of a written agreement. And written agreements aren't because you don't trust each other. Written agreements are for to set expectations that people understand. So that once you come back, once there's somebody forgets, you can politely and tactfully bring them back to that. And so I believe what we agreed to is. Now, what I find in life is most people aren't going to take advantage of you, especially when they know that there's an expectation in terms of an agreement. Okay. But some people will. You just can't help that. That is part of life. It's going to happen. But I find that if you are doing things with others and they understand from the get-go what is expected, most people aren't going to take advantage like that.
Yeah. And to look back in time, I don't regret it too much in the fact that we now have software that helps affiliates. And I think my coaching background helps because I now use that as who am I in relation to being an industry.
Exactly. Yeah. It helped you in that way as well. But yeah, but we don't like for people to take advantage of that's not nice either. So
I'm spinning it around to make it so it's a one of many. So it's if I am going to give you help, I'll put this on YouTube. So if you're not going to say thanks in any way other than a likes are still like transfer into a form of equity. But if it helps other people, I'm expanding the giving part.
the big thing is this, John, if you're doing something where there is an expectation of return in some way, which is what business is. A lot of when you are providing value to somebody, they are paying you for that. If there's an expectation of it as part of the business model, it should be in writing and it should be clear to all parties. If it's something where you're just giving some help to someone because that's just what you do, that's a different thing. You do it with no attachment to what the results are in that way, and good things can happen from it, but you're doing it just because you're doing it. But being a go-giver doesn't in any way mean you don't have a business model that you're working from.
Yeah. So the next question, I don't know if I'm going to word this properly, but it's more of a story and comment where in my past 20 years, I've been in affiliate marketing and I've never really felt passionate about what I've been working on. I'm trying to make money. So I'm building a product and I'm expecting people just to click on links and everything would be great. But I found in my personal journey that when I started deciding to build software for affiliates, like I went into that coaching thing where it's, wait a minute, there's a problem that needs to be solved. I'm handing this over to affiliates. So I'm now basically becoming like their servant in that regard. And the deeper I've gone into this, I don't know if you want to call it a rabbit hole, I just found it more fulfilling. Hey, like these people are super excited that we're building the software. And I said, I'm now not competing in their space. I'm now helping them get to the next level. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey of discovering it. And yeah, I don't know how else people can discover it. I don't know if I would have read your book and said, I know exactly what to do. I'm going to go apply these principles immediately.
Mhm. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I think all things being equal, it's always great to be doing something that you love, that you're passionate about. It's so funny because there's been a discussion about this over the years. It's shifted in a way where people used to say, just go with your passion, follow your passion, the money will come. And then you had another group of people who started to say in the last few years, forget about your passion, just do the work and you'll get the passion. Don't worry about your passion. Just here's the thing. I think both are incomplete. So the first one where it says, just do what you love, follow your passion, and the money will come. It's not that it's not true, but it's incomplete. Okay. Because to me, it's great to be passionate about something. Why, given the choice, why wouldn't you want to do something you're passionate about? But you also have to be very good at it, which often is. Typically, when we are passionate about something, we're usually good at it. But then there's a third part, and this is also important. There's got to be a market for it. You've got to be to sell this product or service or thing that you're passionate about. And that's where the follow your passion and the money will come. This is the boat. You've got to be able to either know there's a market for it or there's one that you are committed enough to develop or whatever. And as entrepreneurs, we take chances, hopefully good risks, but all that depends. But then when people say, forget about your passion, that's not what it's about. Just do the work. That's tough. That's tough to really do. And when you hear people, the wealthiest people around are the ones who will tell you, try to do something you're passionate about, because it's simply easier to do all the work it takes to really make it big in business. To me, again, it goes back to all things being equal, because not everyone has the opportunity to be able to do what they're passionate about. But if you possibly can, and you can make a great living from doing something you're passionate about, absolutely.
Yeah, it made me think, like, I had these thoughts even before I read your book, and I read another book. It's something about Babylon. It was like the stories
The
have a
Richest
lot.
Man in Babylon.
That one.
Yeah, James Clason. Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah. So before reading your book, I've been thinking over years about going, like, I lived in a small town for a couple of years, and I just felt like all these people in small towns are looking for jobs, and my whole life has been work online, freelancing, like doing freelancing work or hiring freelancers. And I just think there's an abundance of work, whether it's affiliate marketing or other things. And I just felt there's like a lack of education of trying to help people go, hey, you can learn these skills of SEO. And of course, there's no shortage of SEO courses, but I thought about an idea about why not just do this as a volunteer? And after reading your book, I don't even have a thought process of what's on the other end of that from a monetization point of view.
Mhm.
It's the more I started giving in the last couple of years, I did a podcast, I've got a newsletter. I'm just trying to spit out useful information and stuff I'm passionate about. Yeah, I don't know if it's really a question. I'm sure you'd probably encourage me
Well,
to say, give it a go.
I would say sure, but also try to find a way to monetize it. Okay. Because again, you want to, when you're giving great value, when you can monetize that, it's the best of both worlds. Like, it's breathing out and breathing in. It's not one or the other. Now, if you find it something that you can't monetize, but you just take great pleasure and joy in doing it, then that's fine too, as long as you're doing it because it brings you joy. But the best of all worlds is do something that brings you joy and that you're able to really monetize.
Yeah. I don't have a concern that I wouldn't be able to monetize this. It's just that I don't think I'm necessarily going to be creating courses and going, okay, I'm going to
Sure.
target this market. It does have an indirect benefit that could actually go back to our software company, but I'm not even thinking about this. I'm just thinking, hey, it'd be really cool to do this because I have helped small business owners in the past where it's like, hey, I need a bit of help, and it's just give them an hour and then
That's great, but that's fine because here's the thing, John, that you're doing something that is congruent with your personal values, right? So it's bringing you joy by doing it. And that's a form of payment too.
yeah. And then it's weird because I think we live in a world where everyone's trying to measure stuff. And it's like, how are you measuring joy? But the last question I have for every guest is, what do you see of the future of affiliate marketing as it intersects with business intelligence? And your go here in this immeasurable spot, and you'll end up with actual results that you can measure.
Yeah, without certainly me not being an expert in affiliate marketing, it's not for me to make any kind of sayings that anyone should take seriously. But again, I'm going to say, like anything else, if it's something that brings value to the marketplace, then it's great.
Yeah, and I think that's insanely understated. Like back in the day, like probably in the last 10 years, you'd be able to build affiliate sites without actually having to add value. You're just creating content. Google understands this content. You get your rankings, then you get your money. But I think Google has actually changed the game where they're basically penalizing sites that are just information. And I think your core message is actually becoming stronger. But my job is to see if I can actually connect the dots and say, hey, find your book. And I actually think that more people should start thinking about the other end of the user. The most successful affiliates I know today actually have gone in that direction. And it's everyone's looking at them going, why are they so good? And I have a lot of friends that they're struggling to get to that next level. And it all comes back to value.
Wow. Powerful.
Bob, thank you so much for doing this. It's really cool chatting with you. And like I said, I just digested your book very quickly the last couple of weeks. And it just makes me feel good that my personal journey of just giving more stuff, going on video, doing a podcast, it's brought immense value in return. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, look, my go-to-market is just doing absolutely terrible results right now. I'll try anything. So I gave it a go. And yeah, I think you understand what it has done for you, what it's done for people that have read your book and applied it. I just want to say, without even reading your book, I've applied these principles and it's real.
Thank you, John. Great to be with you. Wish you best of continued success.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Affiliate BI podcast. I'd like to take this time to ask for a small favor to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps us expand our reach to rank higher in podcast directories and reach more listeners.